All right, I put all the connectors in, and on this section, I'm actually not going to assemble the whole table. I'm not going to put the stretcher in because of the angle of the stretcher coming in at a 45-degree angle. That means all the pieces have to come together from outside. They have to move in towards each other, left or like right and left, and then up and down or north and south, and then also at an angle. And that's really better off with another set of hands. It's hard to do. And the only reason I'm putting this together now, I'm getting a video for a little bit of instruction, but also I've got to put the tabletop, which is over on that work table by the garage door. I have to get that put on top of it and then mount the clips that hold it in place. I'm gonna get that done before I pack it all up and take it up to Josh. So anyway, but you can see I put all the connectors in, and as I described, I'll hit this a little bit again. When you look at these connectors, you can see each of them have that bowl shape. Loosen this up a little bit so I can get a better angle. Each of them have that bowl shape facing this direction. And the other thing I should mention is what you want to do is tighten them all the way in, not like super tight, and you want to use a socket, not just by hand, to get it just where you can tell it's bottomed out, and then back it up until you get there. Because the length has to be exactly what it is with the depth of the hole too. So you want them all to face that direction, and you can see that's how I've got them set up. So I think it's a 10mm socket, but I've got one of those I'm going to bring with it. So, and then the wood pieces should all go, you can tell they're about the same depth as the thing. So if they're sticking out much farther than that, you know that there's something blocking it. So just something to keep in mind. And dog beds are there, but the dogs are not here to help because in situations like this, they're really not very much help, unfortunately. Okay, so now I'm going to put the two short pieces in first, tighten up the set screws with my Allen wrench, and then I'll put the long pieces in. And then I should be able to put the tabletop on top of it. And I'm also not going to put the cross braces in. Well, actually I may put the cross braces in because if I want to do that, I have slots on there to connect this, so I don't think I'm going to do that, but I may consider putting them in to start with. So, actually, these are the cross braces here. Yep, these are the apron pieces. So this one, I talked about this earlier, but maybe a better angle. You can see the A that's on that end and the B that's on that end. So this is the one that goes across this side. And obviously the slot that's in there, that goes on the inside, and the access holes, those go on the inside so you don't see them from the outside. The slots for holding the tabletop down and the access fans are also putting the set screw in. So these should just slide in. Oh, one thing I should mention. One thing to always check is each of these access panels, access holes, has this metal device in there. And of course this one doesn't have a set screw, I just realized, so I'm gonna have to put one in there. Anyway, but the key is when that rod goes in from the connector, it has to go in through the hole that's in the side. I don't know how well this will show up, but if you look in there, you can see that hole. Those can get either too shallow or too deep, and then when you try and put them, they won't go in. So if that's the case, you can take a screwdriver or something and stick it in the hole, and then you work a little bit on moving it one way or the other, just to get it kind of centered in the hole. So good thing to be aware of. All right, now, I just want my set screws though. I thought I put them all in the other night, but I guess I did not. All right, let me grab some. And the set screws are pretty simple. I mean, like every other set screw basically. You just got an Allen wrench socket or head on the top. I've got a, actually I'll show this too. So they fit on there. I don't know if you can see this very well, but they've got a kind of almost like a pointed end. And that's what it's tapered. That's what drives when it goes into that bowl. That's what pulls the pieces together when they're connected. So when you put it in, you want to just put in a little bit into the connecting unit in the access hole because you don't want to block the rod that's going through the connector piece. Then once they're set up that way, then you can put them on, slide the rod in. Then when you tighten them, it'll pull them together pretty tight. So I'm looking at both of these just to make sure. I can see this one's in a little too deep, so I can reposition that a little bit with my Allen wrench. Both of them look like they're. And they kind of, once they go in, they're tight when you're first putting them in, and then they kind of pop and go a little too deep sometimes. So I think those should be close. So now I'm going to take this, I'll do this side first. And just slide those in. And you can see it went in, so it's nothing's blocking it. It doesn't have to be 100% tight. That's what, when I tighten the set screw, that's what will take care of it. And then I put this one in like that. And then once those are in, I can go and just tighten the set screws. And that will lock it down much tighter. And as I mentioned before, this will be a lot more complicated when you're doing all the pieces at once. You have to kind of get them all started kind of in each direction, and then start moving them all together at the same time. And you can see now that I put those together, this, I don't know if you can really tell that it's not, if it was glued, it'd feel about the same. So that one's in, and we do the same thing on this side. And guess what? This one doesn't have set screws either. So I guess when I was working on this very late last night, I thought I was more thorough than I was, but I will blame that on sleep deprivation over the last couple of days. Alright, it's the same thing here. I just got to put 2 set screws in here, check the depth of the connector unit so that the connecting rod will go through it. And then I'll put this on the other side. There we go. Check the depth. Pull this one out just a bit. Same thing here. That one looks pretty good. Make sure I got C and D lined up, which once you have this in here, it kind of can't go the other way, or the access holes will be on the outside. You'll be in the wrong spot. So, alright, so that one's in. I'll go and tighten it a little bit so it holds itself together while I put it into the next one. So that one's in. Slide that in here. I should get the other sets, more set screws out, because I bet the long ones probably don't have them in there either. I'm guessing. They're pretty tight. Okay, those are in. I'll check here. And actually, those do have set screws in. Okay. So now I take this one and look at the letter on it. See which one it is. This is C and D. Let me do the other one first, just because it's other sides. We have to look around it. Alright, so once again, I've got the slot in the top for the tabletop clips. These are the cross braces. I'm not going to deal with those right now. I don't have no need to put them in, because I'm not probably going to connect the table to that anyway, I would assume, at least not yet. And make sure these are lined up properly so that the connecting rod will go through there. That one's probably good, but I'll double check. Verify I've got the A on this end, so that's correct too. And this is where I have to be careful not to knock the other one over, so I get the right stuff to go a little further apart probably. And I can start off by just doing one end, which may be the best option. I can tilt this down and pull it together. And right there we go. And then actually I'm gonna leave it like this. Get that a little tighter. I'm gonna tighten up this set screw. That way, at least this thing will hold itself to some degree. I can't hold both of them up very well while I'm working on the other side, so. Tighten that one up. The same thing on this side. And once again, I sound like a broken record, but as I said, this is much simpler than just putting these pieces on and not putting the structure and stuff in. So that together. Okay, that's pretty good. Tighten this up. Actually, thinking about it now, maybe I should have put one of the cross braces in just because that would give me a handle to kind of pick it up. Make the other side, that shouldn't be too bad. Alright, so set that down. I'll pick this up. Kind of get over it while I'm tilting. Get a little bit of center of gravity and I'll kind of move it. Once I get it close, I'll go back down here. And this will kind of hang. I don't want to hang too much with too much force on those joints. But once I get in a decent spot, we're going to get that one started. Okay, now at least they have something that's bearing on a little bit. And then slide them in. There we go. Show on the other sides. Back in the camera as much. Alright. Hold this on. And the domino holes there actually make a good grip. actually looking in there, I can see that it looks like it's starting to twist that piece. I did check if that one was centered, like I talked about, where the rod has to go through it. So then let's stick pretty good. So I'm gonna try this again. It looks to me like it's probably putting, there we go. It was definitely out too far. There we go, that's much better. Alright, so I'm gonna put this in here. Tighten that up. This one goes in, just tighten it up. Okay, so now I have a pretty solid frame, solid enough that I can put a table on it. I really probably should have put the cross braces in, because I could have put some screw holes in there now that I'm thinking about it. Debate, you know what, maybe I will do that. I did it in the wrong order this way, but the good thing is what I can do is just loosen it. Actually, while this is there, you can see this is still pretty solid, even for longer boards. I'm going to loosen this up. And loosen this one up. I didn't check on this one, but when I made my sisters, I figured out that if I backed them out about 5 full turns, there was enough room for stuff to get through there. Actually, I see some spots here. If I can just rub the finish a little bit. So there's an extra finish from last time. All right, so got that. Now those have some screws in them. A couple of these. Oh, I didn't put those connectors in there yet either, so I'm going to have to do that as well. Grab those. 4, 2 for each side. So I did this before off camera, kind of showed I'll do the same thing here. Just put them in my hand first, and then I'll get the socket and tighten them up. And I have to double check those access holes. I designed it when I put the cross braces in. I think the access holes go on the inside, which seems to make sense, just because if you look under the edges, you won't see the access holes so much. Not that people will be looking under the table very much, but that's how I set it up. Alright, so this at least you'll see, I mentioned before, I put it in my hand, but then I crank it like this. Okay, so that's tight, you can feel it bottom out, but that's facing the wrong direction. The other thing I found is just instead of swapping the socket back and forth, I just tighten them all in first to the bottom. Although here's the one, so walk to the other side, I'll loosen them up. This one's actually pretty close. Yeah, that one I was able to just get a little bit more torque and get it lined up without backing it out. This one I'm gonna have to back out because there's no way I'm gonna get a whole half turn out of it. Get the piece, get it facing the right direction, oriented properly, so that's good. And this one, I gotta put the wooden down when it was on this side too. Okay, that's all the way. Back that up just a little bit. Pretty good. And this one. Back that one as well. And you may have to back it up almost a full turn if it gets 3/4 of the way around, it can't go any further. Alright, one of these go in here, and there, and there. Alright, now the trick will be I want to leave those pieces together, pull this apart and slide these two in. And one thing, Josh, if you're watching this, I know I told you this before, but I've been playing around with a logo for Walnut woodworking. I did a different version. The first time I did it was on the one I built for Sharon. I made a different model here. So for Walnut woodworking, I created this dovetail, split dovetail piece. And it goes through, so when you look at the corner, it looks like an M and a W. And I did that by making a 2-piece dovetail with maple and walnut, split it in half, put a piece of cherry in the middle, previous one I did didn't have the cherry in the middle. I don't know. I can't decide which one I like better. Anyway, good chance to put those in and stuff I'm building for my family. At least it's a good place to start. All right, so now the problem is I try and pull this out without letting everything fall down. Wait till I loosen that one. Thought I did. Okay, yeah, that's loose. I think this one is too. Yeah, I can tell it as you're looking at it. All right, so set this down here for now. Try to get these at least loose. If I get them loose where they're hanging out, then hopefully they still have something to support them. And I'm going to try to figure out how to fit those pieces in. This one's real tight. Even though I know my... There we go. Oh, that's my domino. Okay, so kind of like that. Now I'll see if I can get the cross braces in. These are basically interchangeable. There shouldn't really be any difference between them. I'm just going to have the pieces face towards the inside. This, actually that's the top. So yeah, I'll do it like this. The question is how much do I have to do this? I don't want anything to fall down, so I might be get that started on there. And then I will have to pull this a little further. The problem is I don't want that to fall. Let me think about this. I'm gonna pull this side out. I can probably do each end by itself a little bit, like that. Get that a little closer. There you go. And then I'll do the same thing on this one. I'll put this in this way. I'll try to pull this one out a little more and hold everything else up. So pull this out a bit. Give myself some room. Do a little more. Get this on here better. Oh, even more tolerance on the other side. There we go. And I do like those pieces. Hopefully they're not too far out. Maybe I'll fix them. If that piece is turned like I mentioned, that's centered, it'll stop at a specific point and they will not go any farther, which is what that one looks like it's doing. It's always the same distance because it's where the rod hits the piece that's inside. Sometimes you can use the set screw itself to kind of pull it one way or another. The problem is you got to gauge the depth of them. Actually, it's amazing to go in a little further. There we go, got it. All right, so now tighten these back up. Whereas my video is not very efficient since I'm putting it together and taking it back apart, but I'm glad I got these pieces in because that'll help me. Although I think I may have planned with this sort of direction, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. These will definitely give the frame, the top frame, a lot more rigidity. My sister, the version I made for my sister did not have a wooden top. She was putting a granite top in it, so I had to make sure. I actually had 3 of these cross pieces just to support the granite, and then I recessed. I did a round or a recess all the way around the perimeter, and then made these shorter. So the 3/4 of an inch lower, so put a piece of plywood down in that recess so it could move, and the granite could be glued to that. Okay, so now that's all locked together and solid. Now the hard part, maybe I should do this on camera, is figuring out how to get the tabletop from here to there, so I can get it lined up properly and then start marking the holes and drilling the holes where the screws will go in for the clips. All right, so I also don't think it matters which end goes where. Like to measure perfection stuff, this kind of stuff. I think I'm just gonna pick that like this. It's not light, and you can't tell necessarily from this picture, but this tabletop is also, I'm gonna pinch my fingers, there's also 4 boards, and I don't know if I can see this or not on the camera if I pull it this way a little bit maybe. When I pick this up, you'll see there's actually joints, those same type of connector made for edge to edge, are under this. So the plan is, I'm taking it to Josh, I'm going to take them all apart, and then he can transport them. When he transports it, he can have 4 separate boards that'll fit in this Honda CR-V, because this will be a lot more challenging and harder to carry. So if I pick this up, you can see all those slots on the bottom maybe. Those are the same type of connectors. So those 4 boards are just all together with those. The next thing we have to do is just make sure I'm balanced the same distance everywhere, so I can start marking where the screw holes go, which not really much purpose in watching that process on the camera, but make sure my angle's good here. Back it up a little bit. So you get a pretty good view of what it looks like overall. Like I said, the stretcher will be on the bottom, which gives it a lot more, I think it looks more like a table than an island than at that point. I will say too, the stretcher was very complicated. Those V shapes at the end. Originally I was planning to just make a capital I, where there would be a board connecting the 2 short pieces, a board connecting the short pieces on that end, and 1 straight board like making a big capital I underneath. The problem is, if you want to sit 6 people here, you can easily put 2 people on either side where it's about 6 feet long, but you can't put somebody at the end or put a chair or stool at the end if you have a board right across that's kind of the 8 inches off the ground. So the V will allow him to put a stool at either end, which is the same design I did for my sister, because that was what she was trying to accomplish as well. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do for now. I probably am done shooting the videos, because I'm going to take this apart after I get the table holes drilled. It's going up to meet my son, and then he'll be putting it together, hopefully with someone to help him. But that's it.